With development costs rising, we need to make games based on user feedback, not numbers and data from the past, says Nexon Games executive. What? You mean you need to focus on making more of the things that get you a lot of money? Wow, what a concept. Well, you give your customers more of what they want? Dang, if only the Western industry could figure this out, gaming would be in an awesome place. An interview with 4Gamer at Tokyo Game Show current year, CEO of Nexon Games, Young-Hyun Park, gave interesting insights into how the company makes judgments about what games to greenlight amidst rising development costs and harsh market conditions. Up until now, Park has led the development of successful titles such as NCSoft's Lineage 2, Bluehole, now Krafton's Terra. I actually liked Terra. I mean, for an MMO, it wasn't that bad. And more recently, Blue Archive and The First Descendant. Both of those doing very well, especially Blue Archive. When asked how Nexon Games assesses potential games, the process Park describes focuses more on listening to users' feedback than analyzing market data and calculating forecasts. So listening to users' feedback, or as Ubisoft would call it, listening to toxic gamer talk. Yeah, well, what a world of difference we're seeing right here. Nexon is actually listening to user feedback, and they're improving. They're digging themselves out of the hole that they were in. Yeah, Ubisoft, on the other hand, dismisses user feedback as toxic gamer talk, and look at what's happening to them. Which one of these two companies is still going to be around in a year? Shouldn't be all that hard to figure out. Part of this is due to lack of precedent in South Korea's video game industry. If it's an MMORPG, we can roughly imagine how it'll perform. However, when it comes to titles like Blue Archive or The First Descendant, neither my company nor I personally have experience making and releasing such games to the market. Even in Korea, these kinds of games have hardly been made up until now. What the fuck are you talking? Now, see, those types of games have been made years in the past. And then the industry as a whole decided to stop making them because it wasn't profitable enough for them or something. And now they're making a comeback all of a sudden. Yeah, so maybe if you get your data from more than like 2 years into the past, you'll find some useful info back there. Now, due to this lack of relevant data, Nexon Games tends to run with projects without having a defined forecast as to how they may perform. And Park says that this is the case even with games that cost upwards of $70 million to make. However, it's not only the lack of data that contributes to this. Park doesn't trust numbers when it comes to assessing the potential of a game. Though the company does use overseas market data as reference and sets rough estimates, they treat numbers as unreliable and relative, while the raw voice of users are absolute, according to the CEO. See, you hear this, Ubisoft? This is how a shitty company redeems itself. Ubisoft, maybe you should be taking some fucking notes. Working backwards based on profit, you want to achieve with your game. You used to work fine in the past. Yeah, they're adapting to the realities of the current market. Yeah, because what he's talking about is like that was the safe way of doing things. Oh, if we just keep making ass creed games year after year, we're guaranteed X amount of profit. So we're willing to spend Y amount of money. No, now these companies, they're either going to have to go into much smaller less risky projects, or they're actually going to have to look at what their customers want and give them that. So when production costs are low, but development costs gradually increasing, errors in the numbers can accumulate and can find your game falling apart at release. If you like Concord. If you think about it that way, focusing on user feedback is the most reliable method at the moment. Yeah, and although I will actually have to ask, why are development costs going up? Well, what are you doing differently now from what you did 10 years ago for development costs to be so high? Could it be maybe you have way too much bloat in your company now? Maybe you should cut some of that? He goes on to explain, we may not know how much money we can make by developing a certain game, but we can get a feeling as to what kind of game will make the users happy, and that's why we test games even in the middle of development and collect feedback. So Park comments that even though this kind of user feedback cannot give the developers clear data about how many downloads, logins, or purchases they can expect. Look, you never really had good indications of that anyway. That's always been guessing. You shouldn't be making your games around that. We can find out whether users would like to play our game and come back to it, and we can choose to believe in this and run with it. And it's been working out well for him so far. Keep doing it. Although what I'm worried about is they're gonna have one flop, and suddenly they're gonna walk back all of this and stop doing it this way because they're gonna get cold feet from one flop. Like that's pretty much my biggest fear with regards to this. But if only other developers learned from this, like, wow, maybe you should actually listen to your customers instead of call them toxic. We might actually see a massive improvement in gaming. Like right now, it's no secret we're in a gaming crash. But just like the previous crash, I mean, there will be a recovery. We may be in for another golden age after all this is said and done, because everyone who's left, oh, they're going to be tripping over themselves to suck the customer's dick.